What's going on, everybody? Jack Acello back with another edition of Knicks Latest. Hope everybody is having a fantastic Thursday morning. We got more free agent options or center options for the New York Knicks. We got another story on the great Leon Rose, and we're going to be talking about one major move in the NBA made last night that could affect the Knicks' repeat chances. Let's get right to it. Let's start with free agency and a possible center option for the New York Knicks. That being Micah Potter. Micah Potter is an interesting player option for the New York Knicks. He's a guy that has talent. He stands at 6'9", has a wingspan of about 7'1", is a guy that can play the 4 and the 5, is a floor spacer, has some defensive versatility. Could be an interesting option for them. Now, before everybody gets on me, I can already see this in the comments that he's with the Blazers. This is impossible. It actually is. And I actually was wrong. I thought Micah Potter was on a 2-year contract. He is on a 1-year contract, and it is a non-guaranteed deal with the Portland Trail Blazers, meaning there's a very strong chance that Potter could be off the Blazers before the NBA regular season kicks off. The Blazers are a talented up-and-coming team, and they're looking to take the next step, but they got their big man for the next couple of years hopefully locked up. They just re-signed Robert Williams to a multi-year extension for similar money to what Mitchell Robinson got. They have a nice young center as well in Donovan Clingan, and they expect to build around him. They have Yang Hansen, another young player who has 3 years of control left and is under contract. And they also just signed Brandon Carlson, formerly of the Oklahoma City Thunder, to a 1-year deal, but that deal is fully guaranteed. Micah Potter's is not. He was claimed off of waivers. He was on the Indiana Pacers last season, and he is fighting for a roster spot. He very well could make it, but he may not. So there's a good chance that he will be back on the market in the middle of training camp or when NBA training camps end. So if that's the case, the New York Knicks have a shot to get this guy. He's coming off a career season with the Indiana Pacers with career highs pretty much across the board. It was a little bit of a down year for the Pacers, obviously with Tyrese Halliburton out for the season. You know, they had a lot of guys injured. They didn't push guys. It was sort of a gap year, take a rest. And Potter took advantage of those opportunities. In 47 games with the Pacers, he had about 9.7 points, 5 rebounds, 1.5 assists on pretty good shooting, 52% from the field, 42% from 3 on 3.6 attempts. So very solid numbers, and not to mention had a defensive rating of 118. And he's a guy that's 6'9", playing a small ball center who probably guards guys that are bigger than him more times than not. So with that in mind, those are very good numbers and a very good, solid, backup, rotational, end of the rotation possible guy. So the question is, would he fit the Knicks? On offense, he's an absolute fit 100%. He could stretch the floor. He could hit threes. He has a little bit of passing ability, just a little bit under 2 assists a game. We know Mike Brown loves that. He could kick it out to shooters, but he's more of a floor spacer, and he's going to give Jalen Brunson space to operate. He's a legit pick-and-pop threat, which the Knicks can love. Jalen Brunson gets a screen set for him. He drives to the hoop, kicks it out for the 3. Mike Brown loves his spray 3-pointers. He says that's the easiest offense that you could get in today's game is a spray 3. So he fits that build perfectly. He can play alongside Karl Anthony Towns. Obviously, Cat can stretch the floor and doesn't need to be in the paint in order to be effective. So he can play the 4 on offense at times, and they could also go 5 wide. So he could fit with him. He could fit with Andre Drummond. He could fit as a small ball 5 if the Knicks want to play their 4 starters and Cat's in foul trouble. They can go with Potter. They could also go an extra small lineup if they want to go fully small ball defense that could switch on everything. He's the guy that could be out there for that near the end of games. He kind of fits a build in terms of size, similar to what Jeremy Sohan brought. Obviously, Sohan, a very different player. Sohan was more athletic and more known for his defense. Potter's more of an offensive player, more of a floor spacer, but I think more of a guy that can make an impact in bigger minutes rather than Jeremy Sohan. So, obviously, the major concern, though, is the defense, and I understand that. The defense in this situation for this player may not be great. The Knicks need more of a true rim protector. And that wouldn't be Potter. But Potter, I just like because, I think Mike Brown gets everybody to play their best defense. He could guard multiple positions and has positional versatility. And with a long wingspan, he can get into passing lanes. I think he could still disrupt shots at near the rim. He's not going to be a shot blocker, more of a shot contester. But a guy that is a capable rebounder, especially on the defensive glass, is certainly always possible to be a weapon. And ultimately, what it comes down to with this last spot, unless we see a trade happen beforehand or maybe at the deadline, the Knicks are going to need a body. And this is a guy that proved last season in 47 games that he can make an impact on an NBA court against legit NBA competition. So that's something valuable, and that's what the Knicks need to find ultimately at the end of the day when it comes to this roster spot. They need to find somebody that's going to be an NBA productive player, and he played 47 games last season. The Knicks are not going to need probably more than 50 from him, as long as there's no major injuries to Karl-Anthony Towns or Andre Drummond. So as long as our team stays healthy, if this guy can give you a possible 50 games in the regular season and could give you spot minutes possibly in the playoffs, like I said, if it's a late game situation, they want to have 5 guys that could switch on everything. He could play that role. He could also hit some shots. So I think it's worth it. What do you think about Micah Potter? Do you think he's a fit for the Knicks? And if the Blazers cut him in training camp, should the Knicks swoop him up? Leave your thoughts down below. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to talk a little bit about a story about the great executive Leon Rose of the New York Knicks, the president of basketball operations, the championship-winning executive Leon Rose, who ended the Knicks' 53-year drought. He was in some headlines from CBS Sports. Sam Quinn, longtime basketball and CBS reporter, put out an article going over his rankings for the executives in the NBA. So he broke this one up into 2 parts. He did his top 15 first. He released that yesterday. And Leon Rose came on the list at number 2. Sam Quinn did this earlier in the season after the trade deadline, and he had Leon Rose coming in at number 7. So clearly a jump up in that sense. The only GM, president of basketball ops, that Sam Quinn had rated higher than Leon Rose was Oklahoma City Thunder GM Sam Presti. In this article, it's a great read, so I highly recommend going to check it out. Look up Sam Quinn and look up top executive rankings for the NBA. So what he mentioned about Leon Rose is that he gets to be the number 2 guy because of mainly 3 factors. How he handles the money on the Knicks and how he gets guys on team-friendly, below-market value contracts and locks guys up like Landry Shamet, Jose Alvarado, obviously, Miles McBride's contract. He got Mo Diawara for less than $3 million a year for the next 4 seasons. That's extremely valuable. Then it comes to the other fact about how he gets value for almost every pick. He collects second-round picks and is able to use those in trades. And then the picks that he has used in the past, he's found value for them in almost every spot. You know, Emmanuel Quickley was a late first-round pick. Quentin Grimes was a late first-round pick. Guys like Miles McBride was a second-round pick. Tyler Kolek was a second-round pick. Mohamed Diawara was a second-round pick. He's not on the Knicks anymore, but a guy like Jericho Sims was a second-round pick. Say what you want. Jericho Sims, is he a superstar? No. Is he a legit NBA player? Absolutely. He is a rotational guy. He could play a backup role in the NBA. So, you know, Leon Rose finds value in his draft picks, and hopefully that continues. I think Tyler Nickel has the ability to be a player. Maybe Jack Acello could be something one day. Who knows? So there's that. Then the biggest thing that this mentioned, and the reason that what separates Leon from good to great GMs, and it's his savviness and his willingness to make the hard choices and have them pay off. The 2 most notable, obviously, being the first, he had the guts to fire his head coach, Tom Thibodeau, after making their first Eastern Conference Finals appearance in 25 years. He said, you know what? This isn't good enough. The ceiling needs to be higher. He cut bait, he brought in Mike Brown, and it paid off. And then the other big moves, you know, he traded for 2 risky superstars in Karl-Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges. Bridges, obviously, was for 5 first-round picks. Sam Quinn was actually funny in his article. He made that out to be an incredibly successful, irresponsible move. You could say it was a little bit of an overpay, but you know what? He made a bold move, and it turned out to work, and I don't think any Knicks fan is going to complain about those first-round picks in the coming years. Even if those picks turn into great Hall of Fame caliber players, I think the Knicks will take the championship, and especially Knicks fans will take the championships. And the other move was Karl-Anthony Towns. You know, Towns wasn't traded for a lot of value, but there were a lot of questions if Towns could be a true top player on a championship team. He had a huge contract that people thought as he gets older could be could hurt his value. Not to mention, he was not a great defender, and he didn't really impact that much winning. That was the best run the Minnesota Timberwolves were on at the time, and there was a lot of speculation whether that deal was going to work out for the Knicks or not. So the savvy, bold moves that he made is what paid off, not to mention the incredibly smart trades. The Josh Hart trade was a stroke of genius, as was the OG Anunoby trade. So Leon Rose rated as the second best GM in the game. But the question I have to ask is, could he be the first? And I say that because simply this. Is Sam Presti a great general manager? Absolutely. Do I have any problem with him being rated number one? No. If anybody has him there, there's nothing wrong with that. But the only reason I critique that is this. Sam Presti's been doing this game for a whole lot longer than Leon. Sam Presti was hired by the Thunder in 2007. Leon Rose was hired by the Knicks in 2020. In that time period, both of them have only won one championship. Sam Presti has had the following talents on his team: Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Chris Paul, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's 7 players in which 4 of them have won MVPs, and all those guys are in the Hall of Fame or are going to go into the Hall of Fame when their careers are all said and done. So those are 7 elite players, though, and seven Hall of Famers. Leon Rose only had 2, and in that stretch, you could say, at least at this moment, that Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, James Harden, SGA, you could argue they're greater players than the 2 Hall of Famers that Leon Rose has in Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. So for that fact, why is it they have the same number of championships? So for that reason alone, I think a fair argument needs to be made. Is Leon Rose on Sam Presti's level, if not above it? And I expect Sam Presti will win more championships with the Thunder roster he has. I'm not saying he won't. But if Leon Rose could win another championship or 2 with this current core, and then let's say in 2 or 3 years, if he could find a way to trade for another superstar, the Knicks will have a couple more assets they can move with. They have players that they could trade, contracts. They'll have Mikal Bridges. They have Josh Hart. They have some young guys that they could move possibly. If they can get another superstar and then keep this thing going, is Leon Rose on that level? Leave your thoughts down below. All right, last thing we're going to talk about for today. We are going to talk about some news from around the league. And a big NBA trade happened, one of the bigger moves remaining in the offseason, and that was Peyton Watson. Peyton Watson is headed to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a sign and trade with the Denver Nuggets. This is a huge move for the Cavs, and I'm going to explain why. First, the full details of the trade. This was broken last night. So, the full deal. The Cleveland Cavaliers are getting Peyton Watson, and they are signing him to a 4-year, $88 million deal. They are also getting Cam Whitmore. The Los Angeles Clippers acquiring Max Strus. The Denver Nuggets are getting a 2031 unprotected Cleveland Cavaliers first-round pick, along with an additional second-round pick, I believe that was from the Sacramento Kings, and a player, Julian Reese. The Washington Wizards are going to get Trey Mann and a second-round pick. So, that's the trade. And in that now, the Cleveland Cavaliers starting 5 is James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Peyton Watson, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen. That is an elite starting 5. And the Cavs just became a little scarier. This is a great move for them. Peyton Watson is only going to be 24 years old. It's a very affordable deal. He's coming off a season in which he averaged 15 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, with shooting splits of 49%, 41% from 3, and 73% from the free throw line, with a solid and a very, very solid defender in Peyton Watson. So what that does is 2 things. This moves the Cavs. I'm going to finish my Eastern Conference power rankings throughout the rest of the offseason. They're probably moving up higher now on that list. And I say that, and I think the Cavs are a true possible threat. I got to see this team play out first. We know the shortcomings that James Harden and Donovan Mitchell have had, but there's 2 things that enhance the odds for me for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The first being this: they made a bold trade for a super role player. Not a star, but a guy that just does a little bit of everything that impacts winning. Pretty much the last 5 NBA champions have all made a trade like this that's affected their championship outcome and have been their second or third best players. For the Golden State Warriors, that was Andrew Wiggins. For the Denver Nuggets, that was Aaron Gordon. For the Boston Celtics, that was Derek White. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, that was Alex Caruso. And for the New York Knicks, that was OG Anunoby. So, is this the next super role player trade? Is Watson that guy that's just the X factor on any given night, that's a two-way player, that plays defense, can score? That could be him. And then the other factor is this. In the Eastern Conference, the last 4 seasons, the team that has lost the Eastern Conference Finals the following season has gone on to make the NBA Finals. So that's a huge deal. The Heat lost in 2022. They made the Finals in 2023. The Celtics lost the Eastern Conference Finals in 2023, and they won the NBA title in 2024. The Pacers lost the Eastern Conference Finals in 2024 and made the Finals in 2025. The Knicks lost in the 2025 Eastern Conference Finals and then obviously won the 2026 NBA Championship. So there's a trend there. The Cavs are trying to be the 5th team to lose that lost the Eastern Conference Finals and then make it the following year. They just made their all-in move for their super role player, and now they have an elite starting 5. They didn't really give up any of their depth to do it, and they are following a trend that's been going in the Eastern Conference. Is it destined that the Knicks and Sixers are going to collide in an epic 7-game Eastern Conference Finals series, or do the Cavs have something to say about it? Leave your thoughts down below. That's all I got for today. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We'll be back with the rest of the week. Till next time, guys, and as always, go Knicks.